What is up, people? Van from the Vaniverse Gaming Channel here with another video on Conan Exiles. In today's video, I want to cover the different server types and how you can play Conan Exiles. There's a lot of options and it can be very daunting, and since Conan Exiles is one of those games where if you choose a server, you're probably going to put a lot of time into it, you would hate to want to have to switch servers due to one reason or the other. So hopefully this is helpful to new players or people returning to the game like me to help them figure out what's the best server for their playstyle. Before I get started with that, I also want to say that if you have a server that you're trying to recruit for, it's either your server or you play on one you really enjoy, feel free to go ahead and post the server information in the comments below, but one post per person. If I see multiple people posting the same server, that's fine, but if I see the same person posting the same server, I'm going to delete all of the posts. So just keep that in mind, but now's an opportunity to get in touch with the YouTube followers of my channel and maybe recruit some really good people to some really good servers. So let's get started here. The first thing to look at is single player mode. When this game first came out, it was very much so based around PvP and playing against other people in a survival type world, like a Rust, like an Ark, more like Rust, I would say. The problem is there was not a lot of PvE content, and a lot of people could get to endgame extremely quickly, and then they would get bored and they would quit the game. Since release, they have added a lot of PvE content in the game. There's like 8 or 9 dungeons at this point. They've completely changed the thrall system. They've added in all sorts of pets and tons of different building materials. So they've actually made it into more of a PvE game that can be played as a single player, just like any other single player RPG that you would play. There is a co-op mode as well. The co-op mode is really terrible on the single player version. You basically invite somebody to play on your PC with you, similar to you would any other game like Borderlands or all that through Steam. But there's a tether in it where they can only be so far away from you, and then once they get too far, they literally teleport back to where you are. You can change the tether distance, but it's just something that if you want to play with a buddy, I would suggest playing online on one of the servers. So let's get started with the playing online. There are 3 different combat modes in Conan Exiles, and then there are different server types, and then there are modded servers. So the different combat modes are going to be player versus player, PvP, player versus environment, PvE, player versus environment conflict, PvE-C. And then servers, you're going to have officials, you're going to have private, and you're going to have modded. So there are vanilla servers and there are modded servers. Anything that is considered a vanilla server is very similar to the official servers that have been put in the game from Funcom for Conan Exiles. Anything that is modded are people that have come up with mods to the game, which will give you a completely different experience of the game, which we'll go into a little bit more at the end. So let's first get started here with the different combat modes. So player versus player, and we're going to focus on the official servers for this. On a PvP server, player versus player, you're going to notice that all items in your inventory are dropped on death and anyone can loot your body. So basically 24/7 on that server, if you see another player, they can attack and kill you. No problem, take all your stuff. Even if they don't kill you, if your body's laying on the ground or you log out of the game, your body stays in-game on the ground and somebody can walk by and loot all of your stuff. Also on a PvP server, on the officials, you actually get 2 times the harvest rate. You will see different things like 2x XP, 2x harvest, 2x gather. Those are just basically saying that if you hit a rock node with a pick, you're going to get 2 rocks versus 1. If it's a 5x, you're going to get 5 rocks. So on a PvP server for officials, every time you hit a rock or you hit a tree, you're going to get 2 of every swing instead of 1. In addition to that, you'll also notice that there is building damage on, and it's between 17 and 2300 hours. This is basically between 5 and 11 p.m. server time. So you have to figure out which time zone your server's on to know when that building damage starts. And during that time, anybody can destroy your bases, they can raid your stuff, and they can take everything that you have. So just keep that in mind. The next one is going to be player versus environment, or PvE. It's very simple. Basically, a player cannot attack you, items in your inventory are not dropped on death, and only you can loot your corpses. So if you quit in the middle of the game or you get killed, no one can loot your stuff but you. In addition to that, you only get 1 times your harvest, so there is no bonus. Anytime you take a swing at one of your picks, it's only going to give you 1 of that resource. And same with XP. They're all just going to give you 1 times the normal experience. And then also you'll know that there is no building damage on a PvE server. So no one can destroy your buildings, and no one can take any of your stuff or loot any of your stuff. On a player versus environment conflict server, your items are dropped on death, and anyone can loot your corpses. So similar to the PvP server, you can be attacked and killed at any time, and people can steal all your stuff off of your body. The harvest rate is similar to the player versus environment, so it's only 1x, and there is no building damage. So basically, this is kind of like the best of both worlds. You want to fight against other people, but you don't want to lose all of your hard work from building and crafting, so it's kind of like a middle ground. So keep that in mind. So those are the combat modes. I would suggest that if you want to play on a player versus player server, that you either play a lot or you have a clan to play with. You know, most of the official servers, the max clan size is 10. So you are playing by yourself. You could be playing against clans that have 5 to 10 different people, and they can just run around and just wipe out the entire server. And that's no fun for someone. So just keep that in mind, that on a player versus player, you're competing against other people. So I wouldn't play on this type of server unless you are really good at what you're doing and you can just get all the stuff back. You don't mind losing your building stuff, and you have lots of time to put into rebuilding and farming to try and prevent big clans from killing you. Another thing to state on an official server is official servers are not moderated by anyone. So if you are being griefed or people are hacking, nobody is going to be able to, you can't report it to anyone. They're not going to stop it because it's an official server. In addition to that, all official servers have been out since May of 2018. So there is a good chance that any of the official servers you choose, there could be people that have been playing on that since the beginning, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. So just joining an official PvP server, you're already at a disadvantage. And the same applies for PvE and PvE-C. If you want to play on a PvE server, basically the only real nemesis is going to be fighting the NPCs, and then the purge that can come as you build up a purge meter, and then a purge will try and destroy your buildings. That's going to be your real conflict. So all of your buildings are going to be based on how to protect them against an NPC waves of attackers, not other players. The other thing to note on official servers for a PvE, because there is no admin and they can't prevent griefing, people could wall in an entire area or wall off an entire area of the map and control it, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't destroy their stuff. On a PvP server, you could just wait until the time and destroy it, but on a PvE server, you can't. So be careful when you're picking a PvE official server that you don't pick one where there's a bunch of a-holes that are purposefully walling off stuff. And then on a PvE conflict server, I mean, I think that's the best of both worlds. You have the negatives and positives of both the other ones. From the PvE side, people can wall stuff off and you can't do anything about it. And from the PvP side, you know, people can grief you. You know, they can corpse camp your body. They can stand outside your door and not let you come out, because every time you come out, they can just kill you. So just keep that in mind for the official servers. So now let's talk about private servers. So under this rating system, if you see a rating number, this is a private server that is hosted by somebody. So we're going to clear out all of the combat modes, and then we're going to sort by players. So you'll notice that there are all of these rating systems, and there are all of these private servers. Private servers are usually the ones that are the most popular that you can see here, 42, 70. They're usually a roleplay type server, or there's some kind of modded server. So modded servers, the most common modded server is the AOC modded server, which is Age of Calamus, which you can see right here. This is a mod that allows your people, or allows levels up to 120. There's a whole different set of building pieces. It literally changes the entire look of Conan Exiles to be something different. Another mod is like Pippi mod, which is used for the admin side. There's a Fashionist mod, which allows you to like transmog your armor. There's a Slavery mod, which is really weird. in my opinion. But some of these people are really into role play and play an actual character, just like playing a D&D setting or a Pathfinder game where you're taking on the role of your character. So keep that in mind when you're choosing. The two websites I think are really good are topconanservers.com and battlemetrics.com. Both of these will show you the servers that are populated, what their rank is, how long they've been online, a lot of good information to help you choose which server is right for you. And then you can take the names you see here on the left in the server name, and you can dump them into Google, and most likely they're going to give you a Reddit page, a forum page, or a Discord where you can find out more information about these servers so that you know if that's the type of server you want to play on. You'll also notice there's a little lock here. Anything that has a little lock and says whitelisted means that these servers can only be joined if you are invited and know the password. So if I say join, it's going to say blah, blah, servers with hyphen, okay, say yes, and then it's going to say this is password protected. So if you don't have a password, you can't join this server. So just keep that in mind when you're picking servers. Ping is very important as well when you choose a server. You'll notice that the ping ranges 21, 500, 114, and you'll notice that most servers say max allowed ping 140. So if you're picking a server that is super far away, and your ping is above 140, you won't even be able to join the server because it won't let you. Again, using Battlemetrics or Top Conan servers will help you see the pings of all the different servers that you like so that you know that it's a server that's nearby. It'll tell you what the distance is and where it is from you and where it is pretty much in America, so to speak, or in whatever country it's in. So just keep that in mind. I mean, it will tell you the region here. You can also search by region, so you can choose which region you're in. This is pretty much moot at this point. This could be used in some of the RP private servers, but for the most part, the main things are sorting by a combat mode you like, sorting by a region you want to play in, and then choosing between your official servers or your non-official servers. So one more thing I just want to finish this up is when you're choosing a server, it's really important to know some of the negatives to playing on them. I already covered the officials. I want to cover some of the things to be careful of on a private server. The first thing you want to be careful of is that the private server is being adminned by somebody. If they choose to stop adminning that, or they choose to stop paying for that server will become an invalid server. So if I click this, all these grays are invalid. An invalid server is basically a server that the admin stopped updating, and so it's not on the same version as the regular game, so you can't access it. So just be careful when you're picking a private server that it's a server that has been around a while, that you see a lot of people saying it's a great server, because the last thing you want to do is pick a brand new private server and it doesn't take off and the guy says, I'm going to shut it down. I know from experience that has happened to me where I started my own server and I just couldn't keep it up. Another thing to keep track of on a private server is also knowing that because it's adminned, you may not want to play on a private server that the person who is the admin is also the one playing or has friends who play. There's just a level of trust there that you just don't know if that guy is cheating and doing stuff to help himself out since he's playing on the server, or if his buddy's playing on the server. So try and find a private server where the admins do not play, they just admin the servers. That is pretty much it. If you have any more questions about how to pick a server or anything like that that I might not have covered, please leave them in the comments below. But I hope when you come back to Conan Exiles, or you're coming to Conan Exiles for the first time, that this video really helps you figure out which server you want to play on. Because once you choose, you're in it for a long haul, and it would really suck to have to get rid of all that hard work. This is Van from the Vaniverse Gaming Channel. Appreciate you guys watching. Cheers and peace out.